So a little bit of a fibre experiment happening today. Where I live, locally, we've ended up with quite a lot of wild thistles, and I noticed that they've all gone to seed. So we've had the beautiful bright purple flowers, although to be fair we've still got some of those, they don't all change at once. And as I brought my dog down to the river, I noticed that they've all gone into this lovely fluffy formation, and I've heard the words thistle down before, and I think that's what this is. It's these, we've got these big beautiful kind of beards of thistle, kind of like dandelion clocks, and where it's all gone fluffy and they've got the seeds attached to them. So being a good forager, I'm not taking all of anything, and for lack of anything better to collect in, because I wasn't planning on doing this, I've of course got a dog poo bag. Chihuahua is in attendance somewhere. There she is, running around trying to be unsupervised, and I'm going to take this home and see if I can't turn it into some form of thistledown fibre. I might blend it with something and make it some sort of weird blend, but it just seems fun to have a play with some foraged fibres, and do some hedgerow bothering. So yeah, I thought I'd vlog it. I've just come off of doing the Tour de Fleece vlogging and I'm kind of in the mood, so welcome to the adventure, and you may never see this if it doesn't work. I mean, if nothing else, they are just a very beautiful plant, and it's very nice to get to see them. So we don't normally have this many. Okay, we are at home. It is a week later. And I've decided I'll sit down and try spinning my bag of thistledown, which I got quite a lot of. I'd forgotten that I'd managed to pick this much, which is kind of cool. So I went online to do a little bit of a research and see if I could find anybody else spinning thistledown, to see if this was like a normally done thing, something that had been just in a fairy tale, like with the nettle shirts for the 7 swan princes. Look it up if you don't know what I mean. And I did find someone had posted on Reddit about it, and foraged fibres, and someone had linked something about milkweed. And on that same Reddit thread, someone talking about, oh, it'd be so great to forage your fibres. And someone had posted underneath about nettles, and that someone was me. It was a year ago, so maybe that's where I got that idea from. Just looked at it and was like, oh, that's my username. That's me recommending Sally Pointer's videos on spinning with nettles. Wonderful. Amazing the things that you forget. So the advice that I got kind of from reading that from people posting the original poster said that they'd need to pull out the seeds. I thought we'd have a little bit of a closer look at the anatomy and also that milkweed. So our thistledown is like the fluffy bit. There's the seed at the bottom, which is like quite big relative to everything. And there's also, which I think is kind of visible, like going up from the seed, there's like a slightly darker one. Oh, there you can see it. Like this darker central pole thingy. And that comes out looking like that. Entirely visible. So I think for the absolute most luxury fibre, to make it as soft as possible, I'd need to remove the seed at the bottom, which does just come off quite easily with a little pinch. And then also remove that pole in the middle, because it's slightly tougher. And so it's a little bit more stem-like, and it does come out like quite easily. It's just a bit fiddly, so that then we're just left with this like really soft downy fluff. The milkweed thing that I read says that when you've got your fluff you can card it and to put it between some wool, and they had this really beautiful looking yarn that was speckled. So they'd said they'd done about 80% wool to 20% milkweed, and it was like this really nice shiny piece of fibre. So I thought, actually, yeah, I want to use it with something dark, and the dark fibre that I've got that's quite kind of nice and soft already is alpaca. So I've made up a little sandwich of alpaca just by brushing some, and then I've popped the thistle down on top of it. So let's see how it cards and have a little look at the rolag. Ooh, it cards quite nice. It does all fall apart like immediately. So I feel like it's going to be quite easy to overcard this and get it all lost in there. But it is kind of good. I think I'm going to add some more to this blend because otherwise it's just going to be like a tiny little speckle and it looks like I just haven't cleaned my alpaca fleece well, which, to be fair, I haven't. Yeah, I'm also not necessarily going to pull out all of these little poles for each of them because I think they'll either fall out or won't provide too much additional body to it. I'm not just dropping them off on the floor. I've got a little tin that I'm collecting bits in. And then I've grabbed a spindle. Yeah, see that one's got like a really fat central pole in it. I don't know if that's to do with the age of it. Maybe. Some of this I picked up off the floor and some of it I did pull off the plant because there was loads. Yeah, it's, as far as like annoying amounts of prep go for the amount of fibre that you get, it's less annoying than nettle, probably more annoying than wool, but also I haven't scoured this, so it's been quite a lot kind of in the grease, although I do a little pre-prep. So I do rinse everything off just with a hose without doing kind of soaks or any soap or anything, and then I properly wash my yarn at the end. So I'll do the same with this. I suppose the alpaca I spin in the dust, in the mud, the bits of straw. Ooh, yeah. So what we're seeing even without much carding is that the little pieces go to very fine individual strands. With the exception of this little piece here on the end. You're getting something that's very, yeah, showing the different lights. It's very like brown with little dots in. I'm gonna pull out that piece that hasn't carded at all. And then let's take off a rowlag. And see what we get. Oh, it's cute. Okay, it's hard to see. I'm definitely not getting the distinctive dots that the milkweed article had on it, that milkweed blog. It's definitely just much more of a everywhere sort of thing, and that was not much carding at all. You watched me card it, so we'll see how it spins. I brought one of my spindles up so we could do just a little sample of it. Ooh, that's fun. That's coming up as a nice little strand. I'm kind of doing the thickness that I usually do as like my standard, which is however thick this is. Yeah, ooh, that's coming up quite nice. That is coming up all right. You can still very much see. Honestly, it's a natural sparkle. I think that's what Thistle down has become. It's just a little natural sparkle. It's quite tricky to come up on camera. Oh, there we go. I see it there with the light. That it's like, if you've got, I think it's called Angeline or something, in your rowlags, and then it makes it so that you've got like the shiny, sparkly, glittery stuff. It's the same. It's the same stuff as people put on their Christmas tree sometimes, like the loose glitter strands, like the loose tinsel strands. That's what I'm thinking of. People put it in their hair as hair tinsel, and you can have it in your fibre as like a little sparkly guy. And that's, yeah, basically the effect that this is having. I might try combining it with some other wool just for fun. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that looks as a little natural addition, because obviously all of the sparkles are going to be made of some sort of synthetic fibre. I guess it's possible there's some that are made from like a cellulose base, so they are in fact still plant material and it'll degrade and things, but it's yeah, nice to have something so raw that provides such a nice little shiny sparkle. And if you're only using it as a sparkle additive to yarn, as opposed to trying to make something by itself, then you don't necessarily even need that much, so it'd be quite easy to like perhaps gather it. I might keep some of this in stash for future sparkle yarn projects. Yeah. Do I want to have a go at doing it by itself? I kinda do. Just finish up this one off the carding brush, and then we'll do a little section of just by itself and see if it spins at all. I think it's going to be really hard work to try, because the staple length is super duper short, which is weird because I'm used to the staple length being really long for plant fibres. I do like spindle spinning. So surprised that like there's a spinning group that I go to, and there's loads of people with their wheels and they're like really experienced spinners, and some of them are just like, oh, I have no idea how to spin on a spindle. And it's like, what? Because I'm so used to seeing like Gillian Eve and Mine Walden, and like they both spin on both, and like I learnt on a spindle because it's cheaper than trying to get a wheel or anything, so it feels like a lot less of an investment. And I sort of feel like, why wouldn't everyone have done that? Like, you bought a spinning wheel without knowing if you liked spinning. I guess I could have used someone else's. Okay, let's grab out just a couple of floofs, and I think I'm just gonna go fully, I'm not gonna pull out any seeds or anything. I'm just gonna start to spin it and see it works. It is working. Oh, spoke too soon. Ah, my fiber's flying away. It's literally designed for this. Ah. What I was really curious about when I was researching was to see if there was any poetry that had romantic thistledown stuff in it, because I feel like there's quite a lot of very famous Scottish poets. Yeah. Okay, that's just gonna continue snapping and sliding if I try and do it by itself. So technically possible, but we're not making anything nice out of it. So yeah. But I couldn't find anything of like, I feel like some poem has to have like, and though she slept on a bed of thistledown. But no, maybe I'll just have to write it. I'm not a poet, but maybe I can work it out. I'm sure it's not that hard. Okay, I might I'll pop back in and I'll see if I can get any nice footage of the alpaca blend yarn that I'm spinning up now, and if I try it with any other fibre. I kind of want to try it with something white. I've got some white wool in stock, so I'll just go and grab some of that. And it's South Down as well that I've got, that I'm thinking of using. So I think that might be a really nice little piece. Really nice. Cool. Well, I will keep spinning and I will keep carding and playing, and I will come back with 1 to 2 more updates. This is just going to be a little video of me playing around with a fibre, and I'll ply it and finish it and stuff, and let you know what I've got. Catch you later. Okay, so final check-in on the spinning with thistledown experiment that I spontaneously decided to do. And I've got 3 samples spun up, which I thought I would show, and also kind of my final conclusions. So this is the alpaca that I was spinning last time. And this is quite visible for where you can see the thistledown in it. The blog post that I was reading about milkweed, I think, had retained a lot more of the structure of the thistledown, of the milkweed down kind of pods, whereas like a single carding brush fully destroyed that kind of star pattern that the seed had when it comes off the plant. So this is that much more dispersed, so it's a lot less kind of speckled and kind of a lot more integrated within it, which is cool, and it's a little bit shiny and a little bit different, and yeah, just provides something that's a little bit of different visual interest. So I'd say this maybe feels a bit tweedy, or just like some other different variation that you might get from blending in whatever you might want to blend in, like a different kind of wool or something like that. And obviously it's got the nice soft drape of alpaca. I thought I'd have a go at combining with some different wools. So I had a couple like down here. I've combined it into this grey. This is Shetland Cross Hebridean from Florence. A sheep called Florence, not imported from Italy. And the thistledown fully disappeared. Like if you look really hard, you can find the little patches. You can find the little patches of where it is, assuming that the camera will focus enough but like honestly, you can see it there. But honestly, it just fully integrated into that, and there was quite a lot. So I did like one swipe of the hand cards, and had, sort of enough wool to make this, and I'd put over the whole hand card, I'd put about that much thistledown on it, so like quite a big amount of it, and swept it in, and it just completely disappeared. So there are some little tiny shiny bits, but it's definitely dwarfed by the natural variation that I've got within this fleece, where it's kind of mixture of black, white, and grey threads that create this overall grey. It's just become part of that mix. So yeah, not significantly different. Also decided to try it with some white to see if there were any textural differences. I think this is the one that looked coolest in the Rolag, and this is also the one that looked coolest, that's showing up the most interestingly on camera. This is some Southdown that I've had for a while in stash. And yeah, again, it's disappeared. It's provided some of that little bit of shine. Obviously, like it's white on white, or like off-white on off-white. It has provided a little bit of shine and a little bit of kind of sparkle variation and stuff like that, but not much. And again, this is quite a lot proportionally to how much wool I used. I think I would struggle to find a practical way to integrate any more. And to look at the Rolag, the whole thing was just like shiny over one side. But then when it's spun in, and I don't think a lot of it fell out from like looking at my lap after I was done spinning it. So it is all in there. It's just not very visible. So, concluding remarks, can you spin thistledown into yarn? Yes. If you blend it, you can. If you don't blend it, no, the staple length is far too short, and it needs to go in with something. And is it a good idea to blend it into something and spin it? I mean, like, it doesn't hurt, but ultimately I'm going to say it's probably more faff than it's worth. Yeah, if you've got some dark fibre that you want to add a little bit of different visual interest to, just because you've got 6 fleeces of the same sheep and you just want to make some of them look a little bit different, or you're doing it for a specific project, it's an absolutely fine thing to add in. You don't get like a lot of fibre out of it, but equally the process of just flicking the little seeds off and pulling out the little hard bits in the middle, it's not that much work. It's definitely like more work to work with nettles in my experience of doing them. So there are worse things to do. You definitely can, but I think while I'm going to keep what I've got in stash, I don't know that I'm going to spend particularly any effort to do more or use more in the future. I think these experiments are just going to sit and exist in their form that they are, as a testament for having tried it and maybe I'll combine these into some nice little project together. But it does lead me to think that there are probably more fibres that could just be blended into bats and things like that. And I know that it's not news for the like art yarn bats for putting in little bits of thread or like other random fibres. Pieces of sari silk is quite a common thing for people to use. So yeah, just kind of gives you an idea of how easy it is to add in lots of different other fibres, and it has made me more curious to see what else I might add that would be more effective. As I said previously, it's a way to add a little bit of sparkle, but if what you want is sparkly yarn, it's probably not going to give you that. But potentially it's a way it's the start for looking for a different organic, natural, compostable sparkle that doesn't involve using plastic, and that's probably a noble goal. So in conclusion, do it if you want. I probably won't be doing any much more than this. Okay, catch you later.